Yo, what's up guys? It is Abop, and in this video we are going to be taking a deep look into the Season 5 cosmetics coming to the finals. Now we are going to hop right into it and start talking about this Aztec warrior guy. Now I know that we have all seen this promo art, but I'm going to point out something that I think is very interesting. So the blue part does look like body paint, and I did initially assume it was body paint, but then when you look at the bracelets, how many there are and how far up his wrist they go, I started to think in my head that, okay, maybe this is an entire upper body piece. So the vest, the paint, and the bracelets are all one piece, which, you know, limits our creativity overall. But if you look at this image here, you will see that there is no body paint, but those bracelets are all still there. And you even got a couple of rings. So what it looks like in my eyes, possibly maybe things on both wrists, who knows? But to me, this looks pretty cool. So I do want to talk about this top real quick because we actually have a very similar one that came into the game during Season 4. If you look at the two vertical like backpack strap things and the horizontal one, you can kind of tell that that is the same cosmetic, just, you know, a slight variation to it. And you can even tell based off of the pouches down on his bottom left. Now here is another frame where you can see what looks like brown skin and not body paint, and it has the same top. So I think that's kind of confirmation that that paint isn't attached. I mean, why would it be? But who knows, sometimes with, you know, some of these cosmetics. If you look at the pants, those should look pretty familiar to a lot of us. Those are the pants that I call them beta pants, and we have tons of variations of these pants, but they're pretty cool. I like the tactical look of these pants, and now it looks like we have them in like a darker earthy color, and that's pretty darn cool. Now here's the last little bit I'm going to show on this guy, and this is just a close-up of the mask, and there are so many details in the mask. It looks great, and even though I'm more of a tactical kind of person myself, it is really hard not to appreciate the detail and effort that they put into their cosmetics. Now I'm going to talk about the quote unquote beta chick that's coming into the game. And for those of you that don't know, this was the girl from the cover art, you know, back in the beta. So not only am I going to go over some of the possible cosmetics we'll be getting with her, but further confirm that there's almost no way that is not her. Now let's start from the boots up, because that is how she was presented to us. If you look at the boots, I don't think that they're a variation or recolor of the tactical boots that we already have. And that's because the tongue seems pretty flush with the little cuff of the boot. So I don't think it's those. It's definitely not the ankle monitors. If it's a variation of any boot, it's probably the ones that came with that hunter pack, that paid pack. And other than that, I can't think of a boot that's too similar to this. Now, as we get to the pants, I don't think we have these pants in the game. I think it's pretty safe to say that because we have the double knee pads and a holster. It may be a variation of something that we already have, but I have not seen double knee pads and a holster yet. They love single knee pads in this game. And I will further show, if you look up even further, it's hard to see, but there looks like there's a double strap in the back and they're parallel. If you look at like things like the beta pants, there's one that's pretty horizontal and one that goes diagonal at an angle, and that's not what's happening here. Now, if this doesn't prove that this is the same character, the helmet is the same helmet in a promo art. It's the blue helmet, very similar to the one that we already have, except that there are goggles on it. And I hope that we get that exact same helmet to put on our head too. That would be pretty darn cool. Now the shirt does seem to be a slight variation of what's in the artwork. And that's because in the artwork, you can see that she has a stripe going down her right side. Now in the video, there is a number on her left shoulder. Now there very well could be a stripe on her right shoulder. We can't really see that too well, but in my opinion, I like asymmetrical design choices, but I just can't see that being a design choice that they would make. I think it's safe to assume that there won't be a stripe on her right side. Now, as we get to the top, we can see the headphones that are wrapped around her neck that's shown in the promo art. And most importantly, my favorite part is the Namatama mask. It doesn't look exactly like Namatama, but either way, I'm a big fan of the mask. I like that. Now let's take a quick look at the two Luchadores. And I think what most people will notice is that there's like a Trentilla sponsor. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but there is a sponsor that hasn't been represented as much in the game so far. And what I have noticed is while these uniforms are obviously pretty similar, they're not just recolors. At least I don't think so. If you look at the pattern on the chest of the green guy, it looks closer to like a dragonfly or a butterfly almost. And if you look at the guy in the back, the quote unquote like wings aren't as present. So it does look like a different pattern, but we'll see when we get a better look at the cosmetics. Now we have a shot of these wrestlers doing a charge and slam from the sky. And what we can see here is that it definitely looks like we're getting an all new top, pants, and shoes. One thing that I am hoping for personally is that those capes are an upper back accessory and not part of the top. Let's hope. I'm going to quickly fly over these next few frames or segments because there's not really a lot to pull from these, but there is a ton of detail in these face paints. Again, Embark does an absolutely amazing job at designing these. This is, oh man, this is incredible. And then if we look here, it looks like there is a new face mask coming that doesn't look like the Halto one. That looks more red to me instead of the orange that we have in the half mask. And this is pretty cool to me. I want to see the maps really represent the sponsors more. I love seeing the maps change colors. Personally, this video isn't about this, but I would love to see more map variations and quality over quantity. I love new maps, but more than new maps, I love seeing new variations and new things done to our current maps. Now let's go over the sponsorships. We have Via, Exalt, and Desun. I still don't know exactly how to pronounce them, but you could probably assume who I'm going to go with, but let's take a deeper look at these cosmetics. Now, I'm not going to talk about these too much, but I will talk about some of the little details that I noticed. And the first thing I'm going to start with is the weapon skins. If you look at the Via shotgun, if you look at the stock and the handle, it looks like you can see these little red dots, almost like a polka dot pattern. But if you look at the Exalt shotgun, it does not seem to have that same effect. Now, if you go to the Desun one, it's pretty hard to see, but if you look down at where he's grabbing the triple barrel shotgun, right below his fingers, it looks like that's the same pattern. So I think we're gonna get that on the Desun shotgun also. One thing I do wanna point out is that I think that we are getting an accessory this time around. So if you look at Via and Desun, it looks like they have gloves on. I can't tell if Desun actually has gloves on or not, but if you look at Exalt, you know, he has the bucket hat and the face mask could be an accessory. So Via, Desun gets gloves, Exalt gets an accessory, and then the headgear for Exalt would be the bucket hat. I could be completely wrong, especially considering that those Via gloves look like gloves we already have in the game, and Desun, it's hard to tell if he even has gloves on. Now let's talk about this image that Embark shared with us that gives us a sneak peek at what's coming in the game, and I am only going to go over this little segment right here. So let's zoom in and talk about the new seasonal content section. I'm going to start with the top left and move to the right, and then go bottom left and move to the right. Now, if we look at the top left, the first thing that it looks like we have is an orange and green weapon skin bundle. This to me, at least that one on the bottom, it looks like there's a tactical grip for the new triple barrel shotgun. So I think it's going to be the triple barrel shotgun, the heavies rifle, and a third weapon. It almost looks like a Lewis, I'm not sure. But if we look, that looks like an Ash 12 to me. This next image looks like a watch, like a little sundial or something, just an older, ancient, antique watch, very antique. And then we have what looks like gas grenades. I would assume those are gas grenades, if anything. Now around Christmas time, I'm not sure if this will come with the launch. It probably will, but this looks like a little Christmas bundle, like a gingerbread, M11, and dual deagles, and the rolling pins. That could either be throwing knives or dual blades. Hopefully that comes with the dual blade buff. Now this blurred out image to the right of it, it looks like the only thing I can grab from that, it looks like some sort of like firework or rocket. I'm not even gonna guess much further than that, to be honest. Now, starting at the bottom left, we actually seen all of these characters, and the one on the left was the only one that's really hard to get even a relatively good look at. And that's because she was only shown for very few frames, but it did show that she had on a half mask, the one that looked very similar to the Halto one that's already in the game, except for it's a red stripe instead of an orange. At least that's what I got from it. If this poncho has physics to it, this would actually be a pretty interesting and cool cosmetic, especially if it's possible to attach one of those luchador capes to the back. I don't know why. I know it sounds silly, but just having a bunch of stuff flap around as you're just movement teching across the map, in my opinion, just looks cool. So we'll see how that goes. Now, these other three, I'm not going to talk about too much because what you see is what you get, but there is a guitar on the back of the guy on the left, and he's holding a pike skin that looks like a brand new weapon skin. So that's pretty cool. The only two other observations that I have from this bottom row. I want to talk about a few more things before I go, and I'm going to start out with talking about this image made by Refi Comics. I really hope that Embarks makes a couple of changes that will help us have a bit more flexibility in our customization. And if you look at these two examples, these look beyond amazing. These look absolutely incredible. And the number one thing I want is to be able to save outfits, not loadouts, just an outfit. I want a couple of outfits. Please, Embark. And with that being said, I hope you guys have an absolutely amazing day, and thank you.